skull. Perfect. Just the bottom. Use this in a bar fight, turn that into a tool. For millions of years, our ancestors shaped this world with stone. And today, I'm going to take that same methodology, those same practices, and overlay it some modern trash, things that we discard, and see if we can make some stone tools out of it. And that practice is flint knapping. Flint knapping is taking a piece of leather, a chunk of chert, flint, obsidian, or jasper, a stone that breaks in a conchoidal fracture, and the tools I use to do this are different antler billets from moose, whitetail, mule deer, elk, stag, along with antler tines and small flakers to finish out a profile on that piece of stone. I also use rocks of various shapes, sizes, and weights. Through my billets and my stones, I can hit my target stone that breaks in that conchoidal fracture, ultimately turning it into some sort of spear, arrow point, knife. Any number of tools can come from the right piece of stone with the right practice and the right methods in flint knapping. Nice little flake, that could be an arrowhead. That's a keeper. Through my strikes and repetition of strikes, applying the right amount of force, the precision on a piece of stone that is waxy, glassy, smooth, and featureless. Even on this piece of chert, yes, I have some cortex, but it's smooth. It's almost like a glass. It's somewhat waxy in a way. When I compare it to one of my cobbles that I use that's made of granite. But this is ideal. This is not ideal. So ancient people would go around and they would collect these types of rocks, and they come in all different shapes and sizes, and they can be found all around the world. And this is what they utilized to make their stone knives, arrow points, spearheads, drills, burns, you name it, it came from this rock. But today, we got a lot of trash. We're overflowing with it, with plastics and cardboards and debris all over the place. But some of that material isn't the worst for knapping. So I've got a whole pile of trash materials, things that you can find in dumps, you can find in your neighborhood trash, you can pretty much find anywhere. Starting off with that beer bottle, glass is a great option. You drink your 6-pack of beer, if you're of age, then you got the base of your bottle that's relatively flat that you can work into a small projectile point. And a lot of flint knappers today start off on beer bottles or pieces of glass. The downside with this is you're not going to get any tools that are going to be bigger than the bottom of this beer bottle. My alternative to this is this piece of glass. This is called slag glass. And no, this is not made specifically to look like this. This is a byproduct in the smelting of ores. And when collected and cooled rapidly, it essentially forms a glass. This is a good piece of material for new knappers and anyone looking to get into flint knapping to start utilizing, because you can get bigger results when you compare it to the bottom of a beer bottle. Now, where do you find this? You can find this in industrial areas. A lot of times you can find it next to railroad tracks, as they typically just throw it out there and kind of use it as a fill. You can also buy it as people collect it up and they sell it relatively cheap. Yes, it is a trash, but you can purchase big pieces of it. I get all of my slag glass whenever I'm in Arkansas. There's tons of it in these roadside rock stands. I'll actually put some information below where you can pick up some slag glass. Let's pop a couple flakes and I'll show you what it looks like. Now, the downside with slag, just like any stone, you can have some cracks that are on the inside, some little pockets, but you will get a bigger return as far as some of the flakes in the slag. That's pretty cool. It's a good little piece. So just when we look at this, you can almost see that it looks just like obsidian, a natural volcanic glass, but this slag is a good alternative. More importantly, it's cheap and you can find it in different areas. That's a good little piece. Turn that into some sort of projectile point. And there we go. That right there is a nice future blue projectile flake. Let's try and get this guy off right here. And that right there. Nice. That is a nice chunk of slag that is essentially spalled off There's no real cortex, it's just kind of dirt and a little bit of roughing on it. Let's give it a few strikes and see how it looks after some percussion. When it comes to that obsidian, yeah, it's cool. Sometimes a little slag is a little bit cooler. You can take that piece of slag, turn it into that bifacial form, save it for future projects. But my slag glass that I have here is a great example on how I can go bigger and better. I get more strikes, I get more platform preparations than just using a beer bottle. If slag glass for you is going to be hard to come by, I definitely think that next best option would be something like this. This here is a candle holder. This nice thick bottom is really what you're targeting. Now this kind of looks like a pre-cut slab. This sort of candle holder will give you a little bit more challenge as it's thicker. It's almost like knapping a piece of like Texas tab, which is usually that thick. Find these absolutely in the trash. People are always getting rid of these at garage sales for a quarter, 50 cents. You go to your local Goodwill. Local Goodwills have an array of glass bottles, candle holders, you name it, that you can kind of sort through, and probably for under $2 or $3 get a big piece of glass like this and then turn it into some sort of projectile point. Hey, look at that. That worked. Hey. Almost gotten down to kind of my tabular piece. And this right here is what I'm after. Try and take these corners off, give them a little round so then I can shoot long flakes down these edge. You approach this like a tab. Nice. There we go. Essentially, have a clear piece of obsidian. Maybe you got at a garage sale for a quarter. Maybe you picked it up at Goodwill. Right down the... Stop there. But just check this out. You can see just this little corner of this little triangle piece is what I was working, and you're able to throw flakes. This material, obviously it's glass, can be worked, it can be thinned. That's the original thickness of that bottom, and this is kind of where I was able to get it go to just maybe after 15 minutes. But glass bottoms on candles, I think, are the best glass material to work with. You can find, again, at garage sales, dumps, people are throwing them out. Those sort of things give you more of a representation of knapping compared to the base of a beer bottle. This is totally doable, and this is great for arrow points, getting them nice, small, and thin, but this will progress your knapping and get you to understand how to hit, where to hit, the precision, abrasion, a lot more than anything else. Now another material, tiles. Bathroom tiles, kitchen tiles, any sort of broken tile. Now, a buddy of mine was doing some bathroom work, and he had a bunch of tiles. Said, "Hey, let me grab a couple of those. Let me make some things out of them." Now, the downside to this is it is very thin. It's just like knapping a slab. Again, if you're learning, there's nothing wrong with it, but just don't be knapping slabs. You're not going to learn the full knapping process. So, in preparation of this video, this is one of the points I made out of this material right here. I will say in that process, you will have a little bit of that kind of like porcelain sort of cortex on there because it doesn't throw long flakes. As you can see on my tip, I definitely have less material. It's because I'm not shooting flakes as far from this side into the middle. I always like to think this is like my doomsday apocalypse. It's hard to find stone, hard to find the right materials, but if there's abandoned houses, they typically have bathrooms. There's probably some sort of tiling. I can break some out and I can make some projectile points that I could use. Let's break a little bit and I'll show you kind of what it looks like. I mean, you can throw some little flakes with the right strike, but a lot of this will just be pressure flaked. This could be a very viable option. And just, you can see just with a little bit of light percussion work, you can create that edge. I'll beat on this a little bit more. You can get into it a little bit and then throw your flakes. But again, it's all nappable. There's the flake. That's where it came from. Not a bad option. These sort of tiles, bathroom, kitchen, whatever tile, wherever you're putting it, I don't know, that's really up to you. But these were things that I would look for, and you can find them in kind of already pre-made little shapes, if you will. Like this one, if I continue with it, could be a nice little, you know, projectile point just in a short period of time. You can shape it. I mean, it's not a bad option. That will absolutely throw some flakes. So tiles are definitely an option. Broken plates, similar to the tile, but the material on the inside is definitely a little bit different. It's more like porcelain, or it's not porcelain. What is the material on the inside of plates? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of plates. It's hit or miss. I don't do a lot of like plates like that. If it's like really big and thick, that'd be an option. But some sort of broken dinner plate. See what's in it. Throw some flakes across. If it naps well, rock and roll with it. And last but not least, johnstone or porcelainite or crapper rock. Anything like this that comes from an old toilet does have those properties to nap. So someone's replacing a toilet. It's trash. More. That's what I was looking for. As we're looking at this, looks like this middle material might be our target. Perfect. That works. Yeah, I mean that's not bad. I haven't worked this stuff in God years. I don't know, there might be like varying degrees of crappers. I'm not really sure. But something to bang on and hit, why not? Again, maybe this is like your doomsday apocalyptic sort of scenario. I need some material to nap. Aliens have taken over. And the one thing that will stop them from attacking is porcelainite. Crap rock, johnstone. Yeah, I mean, it naps. Or 1, 2, 3, 4 flake scars right there. It kind of has its own kind of cortex, which is some good problem solving. Simple tool. Alright, just giving it a little bit of percussion and just a little bit of napping. So it is smooth and featureless, but it's, you know, it's not that waxy and glassy. It's a little bit granular, but you can throw flakes. You can hit it with some percussion. If anything, it's an option. Just like our tile, it is a little grainy, but you can throw flakes and you can use it in practice on napping instead of spending a bunch of money on chert where you're paying for shipping and all this different sort of stuff, having it shipped in, and then just making smaller rocks. If you're starting out, these are great options. I would say these three right here are really your best options that you can find in the trash as well as purchase in various ways at a real low cost that will replicate true napping. What it really boils down to is what is the most likely, what is the most viable option for you? Glass is probably the readily accessible, your porcelainite, as well as your tiling for kitchens and bath. All of these are viable options when it comes to napping unconventional materials, napping trash, if you will. It's gonna save you a buck. You're gonna have lots of it to work with. It's all trash. Use it to your advantage. Hopefully, if the world does go to the crapper, you have now some materials that you can utilize to make hunting points, spear points, even knives, daggers that you can use in your own ways going forward. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, that's all I got. Those are some unconventional napping materials, turning some trash into treasure. All right, thanks for watching.